Hello there. Welcome to Drifting Off Learning Channel. You have arrived at this quiet moment, this gentle pause at the close of your day, and that arrival is itself something worth honoring. Wherever you are resting now, in whatever softness surrounds you, know that you have found a place of peace, a sanctuary where nothing is demanded of you, where the only expectation is that you allow yourself to rest. The hours behind you have asked much of you, have filled your attention with tasks and thoughts and the constant hum of living. But now, in this still and quiet space, you may set all of that aside, letting it drift away like clouds moving slowly across a distant horizon. Let your body settle more completely into whatever holds you. Feel the weight of your limbs, the gentle pull of gravity that asks nothing more than that you release your effort to hold yourself upright. You have been holding yourself up all day in ways both visible and invisible, and now you may stop. The surface beneath you is ready to accept your full weight, to support you completely without any effort on your part. Your muscles can soften now, your joints can ease, your breath can find its own slow and natural rhythm without any direction from your conscious mind. If you find comfort in returning to this channel, in these gentle words spoken in the darkness, you are warmly welcome to subscribe, to make this a place you visit whenever rest feels distant or elusive. But there is no urgency in that invitation, no pressure. It is simply an open door, a path that will remain available should you ever wish to walk it again. Tonight, we will turn our attention softly to the subject of how the human body repairs itself, to the remarkable and largely invisible processes that are working within you right now, restoring and renewing and rebuilding even as you rest. This is a gentle subject, one that reminds us of the wisdom that lives within our bodies, wisdom that operates without our conscious direction, that continues its quiet work while we sleep, that has been perfected over millions of years of evolution. There is something deeply reassuring in knowing that repair is happening, that healing is underway, that the body knows what to do and is doing it, asking nothing of you but the permission to rest. At this very moment, as you lie here in the quiet darkness, millions of cells throughout your body are engaged in the gentle work of repair. These cells are not waiting for your instruction or your conscious direction. They are simply doing what they know how to do, what they have always known how to do, following ancient patterns encoded in their very structure. This cellular wisdom is older than thought, older than consciousness, older than the human species itself. It stretches back through billions of years of life on Earth, refined by countless generations into the intricate processes that operate within you now. The skin, that remarkable organ that wraps around you and contains you, is constantly repairing itself. New skin cells are being born in the deeper layers, even as older cells make their slow journey to the surface, eventually to be shed and replaced. This turnover happens so gradually, so quietly, that you never notice it. And yet it means that the skin you have now is entirely different from the skin you had a month ago. The body you inhabit is always renewing itself, always becoming new, even as it remains recognizably yours. There is something peaceful in this thought, something that suggests that freshness and renewal are woven into the very fabric of being alive. When the skin is injured, when a cut or scrape breaks its continuity, a remarkable cascade of healing begins. The blood that flows from the wound carries with it the cells and substances that will begin the repair. Platelets gather at the site of the injury, forming a clot that stops the bleeding and creates a temporary barrier against the outside world. This is the first act of healing, the body's immediate response to damage, and it happens so quickly and automatically that we rarely appreciate its sophistication. The clot that forms over a wound is not just a passive plug, but an active participant in healing, releasing signals that summon other cells to the area, beginning the complex process of rebuilding. Behind this initial response, a second wave of healing begins. White blood cells arrive at the wound site, clearing away damaged tissue and any microorganisms that might have entered through the break in the skin. This cleaning work is essential for proper healing, preparing the site for the construction that will follow. The white blood cells are the body's cleanup crew, quietly efficient, working through the debris of injury to create a clean foundation for new growth. Their work might cause some inflammation, some redness and warmth, but these are signs of activity, of the body mobilizing its resources for repair. Then come the builders. Special cells called fibroblasts move into the wound site and begin producing collagen, the structural protein that gives skin its strength and flexibility. These fibroblasts work like tiny weavers, laying down a network of collagen fibers that will gradually close the wound and restore the integrity of the skin. This process takes time, days or weeks depending on the size of the injury, but it proceeds steadily, each day bringing the wound closer to closure. New blood vessels grow into the healing tissue, bringing oxygen and nutrients to support the construction. New skin cells migrate across the wound surface, eventually covering it completely and restoring the barrier that separates inside from outside. The liver, that tireless chemical factory tucked beneath your ribs, possesses one of the most remarkable regenerative abilities in the human body. If a portion of the liver is damaged or removed, the remaining tissue can grow back, restoring the organ to nearly its original size and function. This capacity for regeneration is unique among human organs, a gift of evolution that allows the liver to recover from injuries that would permanently damage other tissues. The liver cells seem to know when there is not enough liver, and they respond by dividing, by making more of themselves, until the organ is whole again. This happens without any conscious direction, without any sense of effort. Just the quiet knowledge of cells doing what needs to be done. The bones that form the scaffold of your body are also capable of remarkable self-repair. When a bone breaks, the body immediately begins the process of healing it, a process that recapitulates in some ways the original formation of bone during development. Blood collects around the fracture site, forming a clot that will serve as a template for new bone growth. Special cells called osteoblasts move in and begin laying down new bone tissue, first as soft callus and then gradually hardening into true bone. Over weeks and months, the break heals, and the bone may eventually become stronger at the fracture site than it was before. This is the wisdom of adaptation, of the body learning from injury and becoming more resilient as a result. Muscles, too, know how to repair themselves after the small injuries of daily use. Every time you exercise vigorously, you create tiny tears in your muscle fibers, microscopic damage that would seem alarming if you could see it. But this damage is not harmful. It is the stimulus for growth, the signal that tells the body to build more muscle, to become stronger and more capable. During the hours of rest that follow exertion, satellite cells, which are specialized stem cells that live in muscle tissue, activate and begin to repair the damaged fibers. They fuse with the existing muscle cells, donating their nuclei and their capacity for protein production, helping the muscle grow back thicker and stronger than before. This is why rest is so essential for those who exercise, why recovery time is not wasted time but the time when actual growth occurs. The heart, that faithful pump that has been beating since before you were born, also has some capacity for self-repair, though it is more limited than we might wish. For many years, scientists believed that heart cells could not regenerate at all, that you were born with all the heart cells you would ever have, and that any damage was permanent. But recent research has revealed that the heart does produce some new cells throughout life, perhaps 1% of its cells per year in a young adult. This is not enough to repair major damage, but it is evidence that the heart, like other organs, has not entirely given up the capacity for renewal. The heart that beats in your chest tonight is not exactly the same heart that beat in your chest a decade ago, even if most of its cells are the same. There is some turnover, some renewal, some quiet repair happening even in this most vital of organs. The lining of your digestive system renews itself completely every few days. This rapid turnover is necessary because the digestive tract faces constant challenges, from the acid of the stomach to the mechanical forces of digestion to the bacteria that populate the intestines. The cells that line the gut are constantly being worn away and constantly being replaced by new cells born in the crypts at the base of the intestinal villi. This cycle of death and renewal keeps the digestive system functional, ensures that nutrients can continue to be absorbed, maintains the barrier between the inside of the body and the microbial world of the gut. The process is so seamless that you never notice it, and yet if it stopped, the consequences would be severe. The body's quietest processes are often its most essential. Blood cells have a limited lifespan and must be constantly replaced. Red blood cells, which carry oxygen from your lungs to every tissue in your body, live for about 4 months before they wear out and are removed from circulation. This means that your body must produce millions of new red blood cells every second, a feat of manufacturing that occurs in the bone marrow, in the soft tissue at the center of your bones. Here, stem cells divide and differentiate, producing not only red blood cells, but also white blood cells and platelets, all the cellular components of blood. This production never stops, never pauses, continues throughout your life from before birth until the very end. The blood flowing through your veins tonight contains cells that did not exist a few weeks ago. Fresh recruits joining the endless circulation that sustains your life. The immune system is constantly learning and adapting, developing responses to new threats and remembering old ones. When you encounter a new pathogen, a virus or bacterium that your body has not seen before, your immune system mounts a response, producing antibodies and activating cells that can recognize and destroy the invader. This response takes time, which is why you feel sick during the initial infection. But the immune system also remembers. Some of the cells produced during the response become memory cells, long-lived sentinels that remain in your body for years or even decades, ready to recognize the same pathogen if it appears again. This immunological memory is why you rarely get the same illness twice, why childhood infections provide lifelong protection, why vaccines work. Your immune system is constantly repairing itself, constantly updating its defenses, constantly preparing for threats it has not yet encountered. Deep within your cells, at the level of DNA, repair processes are constantly at work. The DNA in each cell is subject to damage from many sources, from radiation to chemicals to simple errors during copying. If this damage were allowed to accumulate, it would eventually disrupt the functioning of the cell and could lead to serious disease. But cells have elaborate mechanisms for detecting and repairing DNA damage, molecular machinery that scans the genetic code for errors and fixes them before they can cause harm. Some of these repair processes operate continuously, catching small errors as they occur. Others are activated in response to specific types of damage. Together, they maintain the integrity of your genetic information, ensuring that the instructions encoded in your DNA remain accurate and functional. This is perhaps the most fundamental form of repair, the protection of the information that makes you who you are. Sleep itself is a time of accelerated repair. During the deep stages of sleep, your body increases the production of growth hormone, a chemical signal that stimulates tissue repair and growth. This is why children who need to grow sleep so much, and why adults who are recovering from illness or injury often feel an increased need for sleep. The body knows that rest is essential for repair, and it signals this need through feelings of fatigue and drowsiness. When you honor that signal, when you allow yourself to sleep, you are giving your body the time it needs to do its healing work. The sleep you are approaching now is not empty time, but productive time. Time during which your body will be busy with the quiet work of restoration. The brain, that most complex of organs, also undergoes repair and maintenance during sleep. The glymphatic system, discovered only recently by scientists, is a network of channels that runs through the brain and becomes active during sleep, clearing away the metabolic waste products that accumulate during waking hours. This cleaning process is essential for brain health, washing away potentially harmful substances that could otherwise build up and cause damage. The brain also consolidates memories during sleep, strengthening the neural connections that encode important information and pruning away connections that are no longer needed. This is repair work of a different kind, the maintenance of the brain's software rather than its hardware. But it is no less important for overall function and well-being. The corneas of your eyes, which must remain perfectly clear for vision, have a remarkable ability to heal. Small scratches and abrasions on the corneal surface can heal in just a day or two, the epithelial cells at the surface dividing and migrating to close the wound. This rapid healing is essential because the cornea is constantly exposed to the environment, to dust and debris, and the drying effects of air. The tears that wash across your eyes with every blink contain not only water, but also proteins that promote healing and fight infection. Even as you sleep, your eyes are protected, the lids closed, the tears continuing their quiet work of maintenance and repair. Cartilage, the flexible tissue that cushions your joints, heals more slowly than many other tissues because it has no direct blood supply. Nutrients and repair cells must diffuse in from surrounding tissues, a slow process that limits the speed of healing. This is why joint injuries can take so long to recover, why cartilage damage can be so persistent. But even cartilage is not entirely without the capacity for repair. Stem cells in the joint can differentiate into cartilage-producing cells, and the existing cells can increase their production of the proteins that make up cartilage matrix. The process is slow, but it is not absent. The body never entirely gives up on repair, even when the task is difficult and the progress is imperceptible. The lungs are constantly maintaining and repairing their delicate surfaces. The air you breathe contains not only oxygen, but also dust, pollution, and microorganisms, all of which can damage the thin tissues where gas exchange occurs. To protect itself, the respiratory system produces mucus that traps particles and sweeps them upward toward the throat, where they can be swallowed or expelled. The cells that produce this mucus are constantly being replaced, as are the ciliated cells that move the mucus along. When the lungs are damaged by infection or injury, repair processes activate to restore function. New cells grow, damaged tissue is removed, and the intricate architecture of the respiratory system is gradually rebuilt. The breath you are taking now is possible because of this constant work of maintenance and repair. Nerve cells, once thought to be incapable of regeneration, are now known to have at least some capacity for repair and renewal. In the peripheral nervous system, damaged nerve fibers can regrow, following chemical signals back to their original targets. This regrowth is slow, perhaps a millimeter per day, but it is real, and it explains why sensation and movement can return after peripheral nerve injuries. The central nervous system is more limited in its regenerative capacity, but even here there is some plasticity, some ability to rewire around damaged areas and restore function. The brain can form new connections, can recruit undamaged areas to take over functions lost to injury, can adapt and reorganize in response to damage. This neural plasticity is a form of repair, a reshaping of the brain's circuitry that can continue throughout life. The endocrine system, which produces the hormones that regulate so many body functions, maintains itself through a balance of feedback and adjustment. When hormone levels are too high or too low, sensors in the brain and body detect the imbalance and signal for correction. This homeostatic regulation is a kind of ongoing repair, a constant fine-tuning that keeps the body's chemistry within healthy ranges. The glands that produce hormones are themselves maintained by cycles of cell replacement, with old cells dying and new cells taking their places. This turnover ensures that the glands remain functional, that they can continue producing the chemical messengers that coordinate the body's activities. Hair grows from follicles embedded in the skin, tiny organs that cycle through phases of growth, rest, and renewal. During the growth phase, cells at the base of the follicle divide rapidly, pushing new hair upward and outward. Then the follicle enters a rest phase, during which growth stops and the hair is eventually shed. But the follicle does not die. It enters a renewal phase, regenerating its structure and preparing for another cycle of growth. This cycling continues throughout life, each follicle independently following its own rhythm, so that you always have a full head of hair, even though individual hairs are constantly being lost and replaced. The hair on your head today is not the same hair you had a few years ago, yet the pattern of your hair remains recognizably yours. Nails, too, are products of ongoing growth and repair. The nail bed, hidden beneath the visible nail, contains cells that are constantly dividing, pushing new nail material outward to replace what is lost to wear and tear. If a nail is damaged or lost entirely, it can regrow, assuming the nail bed remains intact. This regrowth takes months, but it demonstrates the body's commitment to repair, its unwillingness to accept permanent loss when repair is possible. The nails you have now are not the same nails you had last year, even though they look and feel the same. They are new growth, fresh tissue, evidence of the body's continuous work of renewal. The walls of blood vessels are maintained by a layer of endothelial cells that line the interior of every artery, vein, and capillary. These cells are constantly being damaged by the forces of blood flow and the chemicals carried in the blood, and they must be constantly replaced. When endothelial cells are lost, neighboring cells divide to fill the gap, maintaining the smooth lining that allows blood to flow without clotting. In larger blood vessels, damage to the wall can be repaired by the migration of smooth muscle cells and the deposition of new connective tissue. These repair processes are not always perfect, and imperfect repair can contribute to the development of atherosclerosis, but they represent the body's ongoing effort to maintain the integrity of the vascular system. The kidneys, which filter waste from the blood and regulate fluid balance, have a remarkable ability to recover from certain types of injury. The tubular cells that do most of the kidney's work can regenerate after damage, restoring filtering capacity that might have seemed permanently lost. This regeneration is possible because kidney cells retain the ability to divide, a capacity that many other cell types lose after development. The kidney cannot regenerate entire units called nephrons once they are lost, but it can repair damage to existing nephrons, maintaining function even after significant injury. The kidneys working quietly within you tonight are maintained by this ongoing capacity for repair. The pancreas, which produces both digestive enzymes and the hormones that regulate blood sugar, can regenerate some of its tissues. The cells that produce digestive enzymes can be replaced after damage, restoring the pancreas's ability to aid digestion. The hormone-producing cells, including the insulin-producing beta cells, are more limited in their regenerative capacity, but even they show some ability to replicate and replace lost cells. Research is ongoing into ways to enhance this regenerative capacity, with the hope that it might one day be possible to restore insulin production in people who have lost it to disease. The body's own repair mechanisms offer a template for medical interventions that might enhance healing beyond what nature alone can provide. Fat tissue, which stores energy and provides insulation, is maintained by the constant turnover of fat cells. Although it was once thought that the number of fat cells was fixed in adulthood, research has shown that fat cells do die and are replaced throughout life. The number of fat cells tends to remain relatively stable, but the cells themselves turn over, with new cells replacing old ones at a rate of about 10% per year. This means that your fat tissue is constantly being renewed, even though the overall amount of fat you carry may remain relatively constant. The adipose tissue that cushions and warms your body tonight is not the same tissue you had a decade ago, even if it occupies the same space and serves the same functions. The thyroid gland, which produces hormones that regulate metabolism, maintains itself through careful balance of cell division and cell death. When thyroid hormone levels fall too low, the gland increases its activity, and the cells may divide to increase hormone production. When levels are adequate, this growth slows or stops. This regulation ensures that the thyroid remains appropriately sized for the body's needs, neither growing too large nor shrinking too small. The thyroid tissue produces a constant supply of new cells to replace those that are lost, maintaining the gland's capacity to produce the hormones that keep your metabolism running smoothly. The stomach lining, exposed to harsh acid and digestive enzymes, is perhaps the most rapidly renewed tissue in the body. Every few days, the entire surface layer of the stomach is replaced, old cells sloughing off and new cells taking their place. This rapid turnover is necessary because the conditions in the stomach are so challenging that cells cannot survive for long. The mucus layer that protects the stomach wall from its own acid is also constantly renewed, maintained by specialized cells that secrete fresh mucus to replace what is lost. This ongoing repair keeps the stomach functional, allows it to continue breaking down food without breaking down itself. The spleen, that often overlooked organ tucked behind the stomach, plays important roles in filtering blood and supporting immune function. It removes old and damaged red blood cells from circulation, recycling their iron for use in new cells. It also serves as a reservoir of immune cells that can be mobilized in response to infection. The spleen itself is maintained by the turnover of its component cells, with old cells dying and new cells replacing them in a continuous cycle. If the spleen is damaged or removed, other organs can partially compensate for its functions, but they cannot fully replace its role in blood filtering and immune support. The spleen working quietly within you tonight is part of the body's system of ongoing maintenance and repair. Tendons, which connect muscles to bones, and ligaments, which connect bones to other bones, have limited regenerative capacity but are not entirely without the ability to heal. When these tissues are injured, the body responds with inflammation and then with the production of new collagen to repair the damage. The repair process is slow because tendons and ligaments have limited blood supply, but it does occur. The new tissue may not be exactly the same as the original, may be somewhat less organized and somewhat weaker, but it can restore much of the structure's function. Rehabilitation exercises can help promote healing and restore strength by stimulating the cells that maintain these tissues. The inner ear contains delicate structures that allow us to hear and maintain balance. When these structures are damaged, repair is limited. The hair cells that detect sound cannot regenerate in mammals, which is why hearing loss from damage is usually permanent. But research is ongoing into ways to stimulate hair cell regeneration, inspired by the knowledge that some other animals, like birds and fish, can regrow these cells after damage. The supporting cells of the inner ear do have some capacity for turnover and repair, and the nerve connections that carry signals to the brain can reorganize in response to damage. The auditory system is more resilient than we might think, able to adapt to partial damage through neural plasticity even when physical repair is limited. The retina, the light-sensitive tissue at the back of the eye, has limited regenerative capacity in humans, but it is not entirely static. Some types of retinal cells can be replaced, and the retina can reorganize its circuitry in response to damage. Research into retinal regeneration is active, with scientists looking for ways to stimulate the production of new photoreceptors, the cells that detect light. Some species can regenerate their retinas fully, and understanding how they do this might one day lead to treatments that restore vision in humans. For now, the retina repairs itself only modestly, but even this limited capacity helps maintain visual function over a lifetime of use. The lymphatic system, which drains fluid from tissues and transports immune cells, maintains itself through the turnover of its lining cells. The lymph nodes, which filter lymph and serve as meeting places for immune cells, are constantly active, responding to infections and other challenges. After an infection is cleared, the lymph nodes return to their resting state, but they retain memory cells that can respond more quickly if the same infection occurs again. This is a form of repair and improvement, the immune system becoming more capable after each challenge it faces. The adrenal glands, which produce stress hormones and other essential chemicals, maintain themselves through careful regulation of cell growth and death. The cells of the adrenal cortex, which produce hormones like cortisol, are constantly being renewed, with new cells forming at the outer edge of the gland and migrating inward as they mature. This ongoing renewal ensures that the gland can continue producing hormones even as individual cells wear out and die. The adrenal medulla, which produces adrenaline, is also maintained by cell turnover, though the specific mechanisms are different. The adrenal glands that helped you respond to challenges today are maintained by this quiet work of cellular renewal. Bones are not static structures, but are constantly being remodeled, broken down, and rebuilt in response to the forces placed upon them. This remodeling is carried out by two types of cells: osteoclasts, which break down old bone, and osteoblasts, which build new bone. When you use your bones, when you walk and lift and carry, you create stresses that stimulate bone formation. The body responds to these stresses by making the bone stronger, adding mass where it is needed, and removing it where it is not. This is why weight-bearing exercise is so important for bone health. Why astronauts lose bone mass in the weightlessness of space. The bones that support you are not the same bones you had a decade ago. They have been rebuilt, remodeled, adapted to the demands you place upon them. The enamel of your teeth, unlike most body tissues, cannot regenerate once it is formed. This is why dental care is so important, why cavities must be filled rather than left to heal on their own. But even teeth are not entirely without repair mechanisms. The layer beneath the enamel, called dentin, can be deposited by cells called odontoblasts, creating new material to protect the inner pulp of the tooth. Saliva contains minerals that can help repair early damage to enamel, remineralizing the surface before a true cavity forms. The gums that surround your teeth can heal from damage, maintaining the attachment between tooth and jaw. The mouth is not without repair capacity, even if teeth themselves are more vulnerable than other tissues. Throughout the body, stem cells serve as reserves of regenerative capacity. These undifferentiated cells can divide to produce more stem cells, or can differentiate into specialized cell types as needed. Stem cells in the bone marrow produce blood cells. Stem cells in the skin produce new skin cells. Stem cells in the gut produce the cells that line the digestive tract. These stem cell populations are maintained throughout life, though their numbers and activity may decline with age. They represent the body's long-term investment in repair, a resource that can be drawn upon when other cells fail or are damaged. The healing of wounds involves a complex coordination of many cell types and chemical signals. First comes hemostasis, the stopping of bleeding. Then comes inflammation, the mobilization of immune cells to clean the wound and fight infection. Then comes proliferation, the growth of new tissue to fill the gap left by injury. Finally comes remodeling, the gradual reshaping and strengthening of the new tissue until it approaches the strength and function of the original. This process can take weeks or months, depending on the size and nature of the wound, but it proceeds reliably in healthy individuals, guided by ancient programs encoded in our cells. The body knows how to heal. It has been doing so for as long as there have been bodies to heal. The process of inflammation, though sometimes uncomfortable, is essential for repair. When tissue is damaged, chemical signals alert the immune system, which sends white blood cells to the site. These cells release additional signals that dilate blood vessels, increasing blood flow to the area and causing the redness and warmth associated with inflammation. The increased blood flow brings more immune cells, more nutrients, more oxygen, everything needed to fight infection and begin repair. Without inflammation, wounds would not heal properly, infections would spread, and the body would be unable to recover from injury. The discomfort of inflammation is the price we pay for the body's powerful repair mechanisms. Chronic inflammation, unlike the acute inflammation that accompanies injury, can be harmful rather than helpful. When inflammatory signals persist for too long, when the immune system remains activated without a clear target, the result can be damage rather than repair. Many chronic diseases, from arthritis to heart disease to diabetes, involve elements of chronic inflammation. The body's repair mechanisms, when activated inappropriately, can become sources of harm. This is one of the challenges of aging, as the systems that were designed for short-term repair sometimes shift into long-term malfunction. Understanding inflammation is key to understanding both repair and disease. Sleep is so important for repair that the body has elaborate mechanisms to ensure that we get enough of it. When we are sleep-deprived, we feel tired and have difficulty concentrating, signals that motivate us to rest. When we are injured or ill, we feel an increased desire for sleep, as the body prioritizes repair over activity. The timing of sleep is regulated by circadian rhythms, internal clocks that coordinate sleep with the cycles of day and night. These rhythms are not arbitrary, but are adapted to ensure that sleep occurs at times when it can be most beneficial, when the conditions for repair are optimal. The drowsiness you feel now is your body's way of telling you that it is ready to begin its nightly work of restoration. Growth hormone, released primarily during deep sleep, stimulates the production of proteins throughout the body. Proteins are the building blocks of cells, the raw material from which repair is constructed. Increased protein production during sleep allows the body to replace worn-out components, to add new material where it is needed, to build rather than merely maintain. This is why sleep is so essential for growth in children and for recovery in adults. Without adequate sleep, the body cannot produce enough protein to keep up with the demands of repair, and tissues begin to decline rather than thrive. The immune system is more active during sleep, producing more immune cells and more antibodies than during waking hours. This is one reason why adequate sleep is so important for fighting off infections, why sleep-deprived individuals are more susceptible to illness. The body allocates resources to defense and repair during sleep, resources that might otherwise be needed for the activities of waking life. By sleeping, you are not doing nothing. You are allowing your body to do work that it cannot do while you are active, work that is essential for maintaining health and resilience. Melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate sleep, also has direct effects on cellular repair. It acts as an antioxidant, neutralizing harmful molecules that can damage cells. It stimulates the production of other antioxidants, amplifying its protective effects. It influences the expression of genes involved in repair and regeneration. The melatonin your body is producing now, in response to the darkness around you, is not only helping you fall asleep, but is also preparing your cells for the repair work of the night. Sleep and cellular protection are linked through this remarkable molecule. The body's repair processes are more active during sleep in part because sleep involves a reduction in other activities. When you are not moving, your muscles are not being damaged and can focus on repair rather than function. When you are not eating, your digestive system can attend to maintenance rather than processing food. When you are not processing complex information, your brain can consolidate memories and clear metabolic waste. Sleep is a time of reduced demand, which allows repair processes to proceed without competition. The stillness of sleep is not empty but full of activity. Activity of a different and essential kind. Tissues that are damaged by stress are repaired during rest. The stress response, useful as it is for meeting acute challenges, causes wear on the body when sustained for too long. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, has effects throughout the body, influencing metabolism, immune function, and tissue repair. When stress is resolved and cortisol levels drop, the body can shift from a mode of emergency response to a mode of recovery and repair. Sleep is particularly important for this transition, providing a period of reduced cortisol during which repair processes can proceed unimpeded. The skin barrier, which protects you from the outside world, is repaired more effectively during sleep. Research has shown that skin cells divide faster during the night than during the day, suggesting that the body prioritizes skin repair during sleep. The loss of water through the skin, which must be balanced by the production of new skin cells and new lipids, is also regulated according to circadian rhythms. Applying moisturizer before bed can enhance the skin's repair processes, taking advantage of the natural increase in skin cell activity during sleep. The skin that greets you in the morning is fresher than the skin that accompanied you to bed. Muscles recover from the stress of exercise during rest, and particularly during sleep. The microscopic damage caused by intense exercise is repaired by satellite cells, which are activated by signals released from damaged muscle fibers. These satellite cells divide and fuse with the damaged fibers, contributing nuclei and synthetic capacity to the muscle cells. This repair and growth process is enhanced by growth hormone, which is released during deep sleep, and by adequate protein intake, which provides the raw materials for muscle construction. Athletes who do not get enough sleep recover more slowly and perform less well, a demonstration of the essential role that sleep plays in muscle repair. The cardiovascular system benefits from sleep in multiple ways. Heart rate and blood pressure decrease during sleep, reducing the workload on the heart and giving it time to recover from the demands of the day. The production of inflammatory molecules decreases during sleep, reducing the chronic inflammation that can damage blood vessel walls. The hormones that regulate fluid balance are adjusted during sleep, maintaining the composition of blood within healthy ranges. The entire cardiovascular system operates in a state of reduced demand during sleep, allowing maintenance and repair to proceed without interference. The digestive system, though it continues to function during sleep, is less active than during waking hours. This reduced activity allows for repair and regeneration of the gut lining, which is constantly damaged by the mechanical and chemical stresses of digestion. The cells that line the gut divide during periods of reduced activity, replacing cells that have been worn away by the passage of food. The mucus layer that protects the gut wall is renewed, maintaining the barrier that separates the inside of the body from the microbial world of the intestines. Sleep provides a window of reduced digestive activity during which these repair processes can proceed. The respiratory system also undergoes maintenance during sleep. The cells that line the airways are constantly being damaged by the particles and chemicals in the air we breathe, and they must be constantly replaced. The mucus that traps particles and protects the airway surfaces is continuously produced and moved upward by the beating of cilia, tiny hair-like structures on the surface of the airway cells. This mucociliary clearance continues during sleep, removing accumulated debris and keeping the airways clean. The reduced breathing rate during sleep gives the respiratory system a period of lower demand during which maintenance and repair can occur. The brain undergoes profound changes during sleep that serve repair functions. The lymphatic system, mentioned earlier, becomes active during sleep, clearing away waste products that have accumulated during the day. This cleaning is enhanced by the changes in brain cell size that occur during sleep, as neurons shrink slightly, creating more space between cells for fluid to flow. The molecular machinery of brain cells is repaired and renewed during sleep, with protein synthesis and turnover increasing in preparation for the demands of the next day. Sleep is essential for brain health precisely because it is the time when these maintenance processes occur. Memory consolidation, which occurs during sleep, can be thought of as a form of neural repair. The connections between neurons that encode new memories are strengthened during sleep, while connections that are no longer needed are weakened and eventually eliminated. This process, which involves both the addition and removal of synaptic connections, reshapes the brain's circuitry in ways that preserve important information while maintaining overall balance. Without this consolidation process, memories would be fragile and unreliable. Sleep provides the conditions necessary for this neural reshaping to occur. Dreams, whatever else they may be, seem to play a role in emotional processing and repair. During REM sleep, the brain is highly active, processing experiences from the day and integrating them with existing memories and emotions. This processing may help us come to terms with difficult experiences, may help us extract meaning from the events of our lives, may contribute to emotional resilience and psychological health. The exact functions of dreaming are still debated by scientists, but there is growing evidence that dreams are not random noise but serve important purposes in the maintenance of mental health. The lymphatic system is more active during sleep, draining fluid from tissues and returning it to the bloodstream. This drainage helps remove waste products and damaged cells, contributing to the overall cleaning and maintenance of the body. The lymph nodes that filter this fluid are also active during sleep, trapping and processing the debris carried by the lymph. This nighttime cleaning helps prepare the body for the challenges of the next day, ensuring that waste does not accumulate to levels that could interfere with function. The endocrine system, which coordinates many of the body's processes through hormones, operates according to circadian rhythms that are linked to sleep. Hormones like cortisol, growth hormone, and melatonin are released in patterns that are synchronized with the sleep-wake cycle. These patterns ensure that repair-promoting hormones are released during sleep, when they can have their greatest effect, while activity-promoting hormones are released during waking hours. Disrupting sleep disrupts these hormonal patterns, which can have wide-ranging effects on health and well-being. The reproductive system is also maintained by processes that are linked to sleep. Sex hormones are released in patterns that are influenced by sleep, and sleep deprivation can disrupt reproductive function. The tissues of the reproductive system undergo maintenance and repair like other tissues, though the specific processes vary between males and females. Adequate sleep is important for reproductive health, as it is for health in general, providing the conditions necessary for the body to maintain itself properly. The urinary system continues to function during sleep, but at a reduced rate. The kidneys filter blood more slowly during sleep, producing less urine and allowing us to sleep through the night without needing to wake. This reduced activity gives the kidneys time for maintenance and repair, while still maintaining the body's fluid and electrolyte balance within healthy ranges. The bladder stores urine throughout the night, a function that requires the coordination of muscles and nerves that are maintained and repaired by ongoing biological processes. As you lie here in the darkness, all of these repair processes are active within you. Your cells are dividing, your tissues are regenerating, your immune system is patrolling for damage and infection. Your brain is clearing waste and consolidating memories. Your muscles are recovering from the day's activities. Your skin is renewing itself. Your bones are remodeling. Your organs are maintaining themselves. All of this is happening without any effort on your part, without any conscious direction, simply because you have given your body the opportunity to rest. The repair processes of the body are not arbitrary, but are precisely regulated by complex systems of signaling and control. Hormones carry messages from one part of the body to another, coordinating the activities of distant tissues. Growth factors stimulate cells to divide and differentiate. Inflammatory signals recruit immune cells to sites of damage. Circadian rhythms time these processes to occur when conditions are optimal. This coordination ensures that repair is efficient, that resources are allocated where they are needed, that the body responds appropriately to the specific challenges it faces. Aging involves changes in the body's repair mechanisms. Stem cells become less numerous and less active. Repair processes become less efficient. Damage accumulates faster than it can be fixed. This is not inevitable, but is the result of specific biological changes that can, at least in principle, be modified. Research into aging seeks to understand these changes and to find ways to slow or reverse them, potentially extending not just lifespan, but health span, the period of life during which the body functions well. The repair mechanisms that serve us throughout life represent potential targets for interventions that might extend healthy function into later years. Even as repair mechanisms slow with age, they never stop entirely. The body continues to repair itself throughout life, even if the repairs are less complete than they once were. A wound will still heal in an elderly person, though it may take longer than it would in a young person. Bones will still mend. Tissues will still regenerate. The immune system will still respond to threats. The fundamental capacity for repair remains, a gift of our biology that persists even as other functions decline. The body's capacity for repair is greater than we often appreciate. We take for granted the healing of cuts and bruises, the recovery from illness, the resilience that allows us to bounce back from injury. But these everyday miracles are the result of extraordinarily complex and precisely regulated processes that have been refined over billions of years of evolution. The body that you inhabit is a masterpiece of biological engineering, capable of maintaining and repairing itself in ways that far exceed any technology we have yet created. Every cell in your body contains within it the complete instructions for building and maintaining the entire organism. This genetic information, encoded in DNA, is the blueprint from which all repair proceeds. When cells divide to replace damaged tissue, they copy this information and pass it on to the daughter cells, ensuring that the new cells have everything they need to function properly. This faithful transmission of genetic information is essential for repair, ensuring that the new tissue is capable of performing the functions of the old. The proteins that carry out repair are themselves constantly being repaired and replaced. Proteins have limited lifespans, wearing out from use and accumulating damage from the environment. When a protein becomes too damaged to function properly, it is tagged for destruction and broken down into its component amino acids. These amino acids are then recycled, used to build new proteins that can take the place of the old. This constant turnover of proteins ensures that the molecular machinery of the cell remains functional, even as individual components wear out. Mitochondria, the energy-producing organelles within cells, have their own repair and renewal mechanisms. These tiny structures, which generate the energy that powers all cellular activities, have their own DNA, separate from the DNA of the cell nucleus. This mitochondrial DNA can be damaged by the byproducts of energy production, and it must be repaired to maintain mitochondrial function. Damaged mitochondria can also be removed entirely through a process called mitophagy, allowing healthy mitochondria to multiply and take their place. This quality control mechanism ensures that cells maintain a healthy population of energy-producing organelles. The cell membrane, which separates the inside of the cell from the outside world, is constantly being repaired and renewed. This membrane is a dynamic structure, with new lipids being added and old lipids being removed in a continuous process of turnover. When the membrane is damaged, repair mechanisms seal the breach, restoring the barrier that contains the cell's contents. This membrane repair is essential for cell survival, as a compromised membrane would allow the cell's contents to leak out and would permit harmful substances to enter. The cytoskeleton, the internal scaffolding that gives cells their shape and allows them to move, is also constantly being remodeled. This network of protein fibers is not static but dynamic, with filaments being assembled and disassembled in response to cellular needs. When the cytoskeleton is damaged, the cell can rebuild it, restoring the structural support that is essential for function. This ongoing remodeling allows cells to change shape, to move, to divide, and to respond to signals from their environment. Organelles other than mitochondria also undergo maintenance and repair. The endoplasmic reticulum, which manufactures proteins and lipids, is renewed through a process of membrane remodeling. The Golgi apparatus, which processes and packages cellular products, is similarly maintained. The lysosomes, which break down cellular waste, are replenished with new enzymes as old enzymes are degraded. All of these organelles are essential for cell function, and all are maintained through continuous processes of renewal and repair. When cells are damaged beyond repair, they may undergo programmed cell death, a process called apoptosis. This controlled dismantling of the cell prevents the release of harmful contents that could damage neighboring cells and tissues. The fragments of the dying cell are then consumed by other cells, which recycle the materials for use elsewhere in the body. This controlled cell death is not a failure, but a success, a mechanism that removes damaged cells before they can cause harm. The body is willing to sacrifice individual cells for the good of the whole. Cancer represents a failure of the normal controls on cell growth and death. When cells lose the ability to regulate their own division, when they become immortal rather than dying when they should, they can form tumors that threaten the health of the organism. The body has many defenses against cancer, including DNA repair mechanisms that fix mutations before they can cause problems, immune surveillance that detects and destroys abnormal cells, and programmed cell death that eliminates cells that are behaving inappropriately. Most of the time, these defenses are successful, and cancer never develops. The body is constantly defending itself against the threat of uncontrolled growth. The extracellular matrix, the network of proteins and other molecules that surrounds and supports cells, is also constantly being maintained and repaired. Cells secrete new matrix components to replace those that have been degraded, maintaining the structural support that tissues need to function. When the matrix is damaged by injury, specialized cells move in to rebuild it, restoring the scaffold that holds tissues together. This matrix repair is an essential part of wound healing, providing the framework within which new cells can grow and organize. Blood clotting, which stops bleeding from wounds, is a form of rapid tissue repair. Within seconds of injury, platelets begin to aggregate at the site of damage, forming a plug that slows blood loss. Within minutes, a cascade of clotting factors leads to the formation of fibrin, a protein that strengthens the clot and provides a scaffold for further repair. This clotting process is precisely regulated, with both activating and inhibiting factors, ensuring that clots form where they are needed, but do not extend beyond the site of injury. The clot that forms over a wound is temporary, a biological bandage that will eventually be replaced by new tissue. Scar formation is part of the normal healing process for many types of wounds. When tissue damage is extensive, the body may not be able to regenerate the original tissue type perfectly. Instead, it fills the gap with scar tissue, a tough but relatively simple tissue made primarily of collagen. Scar tissue is functional, restoring the structural integrity of the damaged area, but it may not have all the properties of the original tissue. The skin may be less flexible where a scar has formed, or an internal organ may have reduced function. But scar formation allows healing to proceed even when perfect regeneration is not possible, a pragmatic solution to the challenge of repair. Some animals, like salamanders and starfish, can regenerate entire limbs or organs that have been lost to injury. Humans have more limited regenerative capacity, but we are not entirely without the ability to regrow complex structures. The liver's regenerative ability has already been mentioned. Fingertips can sometimes regrow if amputated above the nail bed, at least in children. The ends of severed nerves can regrow toward their targets. These examples show that regenerative capacity exists in humans, even if it is more limited than in some other species. Research into regeneration seeks to understand how it occurs and whether it might be enhanced in humans. Stem cell therapy offers the possibility of enhancing the body's natural repair mechanisms. By providing additional stem cells, or by stimulating the body's own stem cells to become more active, it may be possible to repair damage that the body could not heal on its own. Clinical trials are underway for stem cell treatments for conditions ranging from heart disease to spinal cord injury to macular degeneration. While many challenges remain, the potential to enhance regeneration and repair is an exciting frontier in medicine. Tissue engineering takes a different approach, growing new tissues in the laboratory and then implanting them in the body. Skin grafts have been created this way for burn patients, and research is ongoing into engineered cartilage, bone, blood vessels, and even organs. By providing the body with ready-made replacement parts, tissue engineering could overcome the limitations of natural repair, allowing for the healing of damage that would otherwise be permanent. The body that receives these engineered tissues can then incorporate them, maintaining and repairing them as if they were native. Gene therapy offers yet another approach to enhancing repair. By providing cells with new genetic instructions, gene therapy can potentially correct inherited defects, enhance repair mechanisms, or even introduce entirely new capabilities. Gene therapies are now approved for some conditions, and many more are in development. The ability to edit the genetic code opens possibilities for repair that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Nutrition plays a crucial role in the body's ability to repair itself. The raw materials for repair, the amino acids that make proteins, the nucleotides that make DNA, the lipids that make membranes, all must come from the food we eat. Deficiencies in essential nutrients can impair repair, slowing wound healing, weakening bones, compromising immune function. Adequate nutrition, by contrast, supports the body's repair mechanisms, providing everything that cells need to do their work. The food you ate today is being broken down and reassembled into the tissues that will sustain you tomorrow. Protein is particularly important for repair, as proteins are the primary structural and functional molecules of the body. When you consume protein, your digestive system breaks it down into amino acids, which are then absorbed and distributed throughout the body. Cells use these amino acids to build new proteins, replacing those that have been worn out and constructing new tissue where it is needed. Without adequate protein intake, the body cannot maintain its tissues, and repair processes are impaired. The protein you consumed today is becoming part of you, incorporated into the structures that make your body function. Vitamins and minerals serve as cofactors and catalysts for repair processes. Vitamin C is essential for collagen synthesis, which is why scurvy, the disease caused by vitamin C deficiency, leads to poor wound healing and bleeding gums. Zinc is important for cell division and immune function. Vitamin D is necessary for calcium absorption and bone health. Iron is required for oxygen transport and energy production. These micronutrients do not provide energy or building material directly, but without them, the enzymes that carry out repair cannot function properly. Water is essential for all body functions, including repair. The biochemical reactions that underlie repair occur in aqueous solution, and they cannot proceed without adequate hydration. Water also serves as a transport medium, carrying nutrients to cells and waste products away. Dehydration impairs all body functions, including the ability to repair and heal. The fluids you drink contribute directly to the environment in which repair occurs. Exercise stimulates repair processes even as it causes temporary damage. The stress of exercise signals the body to adapt, to become stronger and more capable. Muscles grow in response to exercise, not during the exercise itself, but during the recovery period that follows. Bones become denser when subjected to load-bearing stress. The cardiovascular system becomes more efficient when challenged by aerobic activity. This adaptive response to stress is a form of repair, the body responding to challenge by building itself up to better handle future challenges. Rest is the counterpart to exercise, the time when the body actually carries out the repair that exercise has stimulated. Without adequate rest, the body cannot recover from the stress of exercise, and instead of becoming stronger, it becomes weaker and more prone to injury. The balance between stress and rest is crucial for health, with both components being necessary for the body to maintain and improve itself. The rest you are taking now is as important as any activity you engaged in during the day. Sleep deprivation impairs repair processes throughout the body. Studies have shown that wound healing is slower in sleep-deprived individuals, that immune function is compromised, that cognitive performance declines. The body cannot make up for lost sleep by sleeping more on subsequent nights. The repair that should have occurred during sleep is simply not done, and its benefits are lost. This is why chronic sleep deprivation is associated with so many health problems, from obesity to diabetes to cardiovascular disease. The sleep you are approaching now is essential, not optional, for the maintenance of your health. The circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock, coordinates repair processes with the cycles of day and night. Many repair processes are more active during sleep, taking advantage of the reduced demands on the body during this time. But circadian rhythms also influence repair processes that occur during the day, ensuring that the body is prepared for the activities of waking life. Disrupting circadian rhythms through shift work or jet lag or irregular sleep schedules can impair repair and lead to health problems. The rhythm of sleep and waking is not arbitrary, but is deeply connected to the body's maintenance and repair. Stress, when chronic, impairs repair processes. The stress hormones cortisol and adrenaline, useful for responding to acute threats, become harmful when elevated for extended periods. Chronic stress suppresses immune function, slows wound healing, and interferes with the production of growth hormone. Finding ways to manage stress, whether through relaxation techniques, exercise, social support, or other means, can help maintain the body's capacity for repair. The relaxation you are experiencing now as you settle into rest is itself a contribution to your health. Social connection also influences repair processes. Studies have shown that people with strong social ties heal faster from wounds, recover more quickly from illness, and live longer than those who are isolated. The mechanisms are not fully understood, but they likely involve both direct physiological effects and indirect effects through health behaviors. Feeling connected and supported reduces stress and promotes the conditions in which repair can flourish. The relationships in your life contribute to your physical health in ways that science is only beginning to understand. The environment influences repair processes in many ways. Clean air and water support health, while pollution imposes additional burdens on the body's detoxification and repair systems. Exposure to sunlight provides vitamin D, but also causes skin damage that must be repaired. Temperature extremes stress the body, requiring energy that might otherwise be devoted to maintenance. The environment in which you sleep tonight, comfortable and safe, provides the conditions in which repair can proceed optimally. Modern medicine has developed many ways to support and enhance the body's natural repair processes. Antibiotics help the body fight infections that might otherwise overwhelm its defenses. Surgery can remove damaged tissue and repair structural problems. Splints and casts immobilize broken bones, allowing them to heal in proper alignment. Physical therapy helps rebuild strength and function after injury. These interventions work with the body's own repair mechanisms, enhancing rather than replacing them. Pain, unpleasant as it is, serves as a signal that guides repair processes. Pain from an injury tells us to protect the affected area, to avoid activities that might cause further damage. This protective behavior gives the body time to heal, reducing the demands on damaged tissue while repair proceeds. Pain also triggers inflammatory responses that are part of the healing process. As repair progresses and the tissue becomes stronger, pain diminishes, signaling that normal activity can resume. The absence of pain is itself a sign of successful repair. Fever, another unpleasant symptom, is part of the body's response to infection. Elevated body temperature enhances immune function, speeding the production of white blood cells and antibodies. It also makes the body a less hospitable environment for many pathogens, which have evolved to thrive at normal body temperature. The discomfort of fever is the price we pay for this enhanced immune response, a sign that the body is actively fighting the infection. In most cases, fever is a sign that repair mechanisms are working, not that they have failed. The placebo effect, in which people experience improvement from treatments that have no active ingredients, reveals the power of the mind to influence repair processes. Believing that healing is occurring can actually promote healing through mechanisms that are not fully understood but likely involve the nervous and immune systems. The mind is not separate from the body, but is intimately connected to it, and mental states can influence physical processes, including repair. The expectation of healing, the trust that the body knows what to do, may itself contribute to the effectiveness of repair. Traditional healing practices, from acupuncture to herbal medicine to meditation, may support repair processes through various mechanisms. While the evidence for many traditional practices is limited, some have been shown to have measurable effects on physiology. Meditation, for example, has been shown to reduce stress hormones and enhance immune function. Some herbal remedies contain compounds with genuine pharmacological activity. These practices, developed over centuries of human experience, may have discovered ways to support the body's repair mechanisms that modern medicine is only beginning to understand. The human body is not a machine that wears out with use, but a dynamic system that maintains and repairs itself throughout life. Machines require external maintenance, replacement parts, and eventually become obsolete. But the body continuously regenerates itself, replacing worn components with new ones, adapting to changing demands, maintaining function decade after decade. This self-maintaining quality is what distinguishes living systems from machines, and it is what makes the body's repair mechanisms so remarkable. The continuity of the self, the sense that you are the same person you were yesterday and will be tomorrow, persists despite the constant turnover of the body's substance. Most of the atoms that made up your body a decade ago are no longer there, replaced by new atoms that have taken their place. Yet you remain you, your identity persisting through the constant renewal of your physical substrate. This is the paradox of biological identity, that the self persists even as everything that makes it up changes. The repair and renewal of the body do not threaten identity, but sustain it. The healing of bones after fracture involves a remarkable recapitulation of the original bone formation process. First, a hematoma forms at the fracture site, a collection of blood that will serve as the template for new bone. Then, cartilage begins to form, creating a soft callus that bridges the gap between the broken ends. Gradually, this cartilage is replaced by bone, as mineral is deposited, and the tissue hardens. Finally, the bone remodels, reshaping itself under the influence of mechanical forces until it approaches its original form. This process can take weeks to months, but it proceeds reliably in most cases, guided by ancient programs encoded in the cells. The repair of tendons is slower than the repair of many other tissues, owing to their limited blood supply and the high mechanical demands placed upon them. When a tendon is injured, the inflammatory response is muted compared to injuries in more vascular tissues. Repair cells arrive more slowly, and the new tissue that forms may be less organized than the original. But repair does occur, with new collagen fibers gradually forming and aligning in response to mechanical stress. Rehabilitation exercises can help guide this process, encouraging the new tissue to develop the strength and organization needed to withstand normal use. The spinal cord, when damaged, has historically been considered incapable of significant repair. Unlike peripheral nerves, the nerves of the spinal cord do not regenerate well, and the environment of the damaged spinal cord actively inhibits regrowth. But research is challenging this pessimistic view, revealing that the spinal cord retains more plasticity than previously thought. Some regeneration of nerve fibers can occur, and the circuits that remain intact can reorganize to partially compensate for lost function. Experimental treatments, from stem cell therapies to electrical stimulation, are seeking to enhance these natural repair processes. The ear, which contains the delicate structures responsible for hearing and balance, has very limited capacity for repair. The hair cells that detect sound, once damaged, do not regenerate in mammals, which is why hearing loss from noise exposure or aging is usually permanent. But the supporting cells of the inner ear do have some capacity for renewal, and research is exploring whether these cells might be induced to replace lost hair cells. The neural connections between the ear and brain can also reorganize, allowing the brain to make better use of whatever sensory input remains. The eye presents unique challenges for repair because of its complex structure and the need for precise optical properties. The cornea can repair surface damage quickly, but deeper damage may result in scarring that impairs vision. The lens, which must remain transparent to focus light, cannot repair itself if damaged, which is why cataracts must be surgically removed. The retina, which contains the photoreceptors that detect light, has very limited capacity for regeneration, though stem cells at the retina's edge retain some ability to produce new cells. The heart's limited regenerative capacity has significant medical implications. When heart muscle is damaged, as in a heart attack, the lost tissue is replaced by scar tissue rather than new muscle. This scar tissue cannot contract, reducing the heart's pumping capacity and potentially leading to heart failure. Research is seeking ways to enhance the heart's regenerative capacity, either by stimulating existing heart cells to divide or by providing stem cells that can differentiate into new heart muscle. The goal is to restore function rather than merely preventing further damage. The lungs face ongoing challenges from the air we breathe, which contains not only oxygen, but also particles, pollutants, and microorganisms. The cells that line the airways are constantly being damaged and must be constantly replaced. In the smallest airways and air sacs, specialized cells called type S2 pneumocytes can divide to replace damaged tissue, maintaining the delicate surfaces where gas exchange occurs. When damage is severe, as in severe pneumonia or acute respiratory distress syndrome, repair may be incomplete, leaving scar tissue that impairs breathing. The liver's remarkable regenerative capacity has already been mentioned, but its daily maintenance functions deserve additional attention. The liver processes everything absorbed from the gut, filtering out toxins, storing nutrients, and producing proteins needed elsewhere in the body. This continuous chemical work exposes liver cells to potentially damaging substances, and some cells are lost each day. But new cells are produced to replace them, maintaining the liver's mass and function. The liver can even adjust its size in response to changing demands, growing larger when needed and shrinking when demand decreases. The kidneys filter the blood continuously, removing waste products and regulating fluid and electrolyte balance. Each kidney contains about 1 million filtering units called nephrons, and while these cannot be replaced if lost, they have significant reserve capacity. The tubular cells that do most of the kidney's work can regenerate after injury, restoring function to damaged nephrons. the kidney's ability to continue functioning despite cumulative damage is remarkable, though eventually, if enough nephrons are lost, kidney failure may result. The stomach produces acid so strong that it could dissolve metal, yet the stomach lining protects itself from this acid through a thick layer of mucus and the rapid replacement of damaged cells. The entire surface of the stomach is renewed every few days, an extraordinarily rapid turnover that keeps pace with the constant chemical assault. When the protective mechanisms fail, as in peptic ulcer disease, the stomach's self-digestion can cause significant damage. But even ulcers can heal, the repair mechanisms ultimately overcoming the damage if given the chance. The small intestine faces its own challenges, absorbing nutrients while maintaining a barrier against the bacteria that populate the gut. The cells that line the intestine are replaced every few days, sloughing off into the gut lumen and being replaced by new cells that migrate up from the crypts at the base of the intestinal villi. This rapid turnover maintains the absorptive surface, ensuring that nutrients can continue to be extracted from food. The tight junctions between cells are carefully maintained, preserving the barrier function even as individual cells are lost and replaced. The large intestine, or colon, has a slower rate of cell turnover, but is still continuously renewing itself. The cells that line the colon absorb water and electrolytes, forming the feces that will eventually be eliminated. The mucus layer that protects the colon from its bacterial inhabitants is constantly replenished, maintaining the separation between the inside of the body and the microbial world. When the colon is damaged by disease or injury, repair processes work to restore function and maintain the integrity of the intestinal wall. The pancreas produces both digestive enzymes and hormones, and these different functions are carried out by different cell types. The cells that produce digestive enzymes can regenerate after damage, restoring the pancreas's digestive function. The hormone-producing cells, including the beta cells that produce insulin, have more limited regenerative capacity, which is why diabetes resulting from beta cell destruction is not easily reversed. Research into beta cell regeneration offers hope that it might one day be possible to restore insulin production in people with diabetes. The gallbladder stores bile produced by the liver, releasing it into the intestine when fat-containing food is eaten. The cells that line the gallbladder can be damaged by the bile they store, and they must be continuously renewed. When the gallbladder becomes inflamed or develops stones, it may need to be surgically removed. The body can adapt to the absence of the gallbladder, with bile flowing directly from the liver to the intestine, though the efficiency of fat digestion may be reduced. The spleen filters blood and supports immune function, removing old red blood cells and storing immune cells for rapid deployment. The cells of the spleen are continuously renewed, maintaining its ability to perform these functions. If the spleen is damaged or removed, other organs can partially compensate, but the specific functions of the spleen cannot be fully replaced. The loss of the spleen increases susceptibility to certain infections, though vaccines and antibiotics can help mitigate this risk. The thymus, a small organ in the chest, plays a crucial role in the development of the immune system, particularly in childhood. T cells, a critical component of immune defense, mature in the thymus, learning to distinguish self from non-self. The thymus shrinks with age, a process called involution, and immune function correspondingly declines. But even in adults, some thymic tissue remains, continuing to produce new T cells, though at a reduced rate. The thymus represents a case where repair mechanisms decline with age, but do not disappear entirely. The bone marrow, where blood cells are produced, maintains itself through the activity of stem cells that can divide to produce more stem cells or differentiate into mature blood cells. These stem cells represent the ultimate reserve of regenerative capacity for the blood system. When blood cells are lost, whether through bleeding or disease, the bone marrow responds by increasing production, restoring cell counts to normal levels. This response can be dramatic, with blood cell production increasing many-fold in response to severe anemia or infection. The lymph nodes, scattered throughout the body, serve as filters for the lymphatic system and as sites where immune responses are initiated. When an infection is present, the lymph nodes in the draining area may swell as immune cells proliferate. This swelling is a sign of repair in action, the immune system mounting a response to the threat. Once the infection is cleared, the lymph nodes return to their normal size, but they retain memory cells that can respond more quickly if the same pathogen is encountered again. The blood vessels that supply every tissue must be continuously maintained. The endothelial cells that line the vessels are subject to constant shear stress from blood flow and must be replaced as they wear out. When the blood vessels are damaged, repair processes work to restore their integrity. Small injuries may be repaired by the migration and division of neighboring endothelial cells. Larger injuries may require more complex repair, including the recruitment of smooth muscle cells and the remodeling of the vessel wall. The cardiovascular system's ability to maintain itself through decades of continuous use is a testament to the effectiveness of its repair mechanisms. The nerves that extend throughout your body, carrying signals from the brain and spinal cord to every tissue, can be damaged by compression, stretching, or cutting. Peripheral nerves, unlike central nerves, have significant capacity for regeneration. When a peripheral nerve is cut, the portion disconnected from the cell body degenerates, but the remaining portion can regrow, extending back toward its original target at a rate of about a millimeter per day. This regrowth is guided by the remaining sheath of the nerve, which provides a conduit for the regenerating fiber. Successful regeneration can restore sensation and movement that might have seemed permanently lost. The muscles that allow you to move are maintained by satellite cells, stem cells that reside within muscle tissue and can activate to repair damage. When muscle fibers are injured, satellite cells divide and fuse with the damaged fibers, contributing nuclei and restoring the fiber's capacity for protein synthesis. This repair process is enhanced by growth factors released during the inflammatory response to injury. The muscle that recovers from injury may be as strong as, or even stronger than it was before, having adapted to the challenge. The joints where bones meet are lined with cartilage, a smooth tissue that allows bones to glide against each other without friction. This cartilage has limited capacity for repair because it has no direct blood supply. When cartilage is damaged, the repair process is slow and often incomplete. But the body does attempt to repair damaged cartilage, producing new matrix components and stimulating whatever cell division is possible. Treatments that enhance cartilage repair, from physical therapy to stem cell injections to surgical interventions, are an active area of medical research. The intervertebral discs that cushion the spine are subject to significant mechanical stress and can degenerate with age, leading to back pain and reduced mobility. The disc has very limited capacity for repair, partly because of its limited blood supply and partly because of the challenging mechanical environment. But even discs show some capacity for adaptation, with cells attempting to produce new matrix components to replace those that have been lost. Research into disc repair and regeneration offers hope for the millions who suffer from disc-related back pain. The skin, the body's largest organ, demonstrates remarkable repair capacity. Minor injuries heal completely, with new skin indistinguishable from the original. More severe injuries may heal with scarring, but even scars become less noticeable over time as they are remodeled. The skin also adapts to environmental challenges, thickening in areas of repeated friction and producing more melanin in response to sun exposure. This adaptive capacity is a form of repair, the skin responding to challenge by becoming better able to handle it. Hair loss, whether from aging, genetics, or other causes, reflects changes in the hair follicle's regenerative capacity. Each hair grows from a follicle that cycles through phases of growth, rest, and renewal. When this cycling is disrupted, hair may become thinner or may stop growing entirely. Research into hair follicle biology is revealing ways that hair growth might be restored, either by stimulating existing follicles or by creating new ones from stem cells. The cosmetic implications are obvious, but the science also sheds light on regeneration more broadly. The repair of damaged arteries is crucial for cardiovascular health. When the inner lining of an artery is damaged by high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or other factors, the body attempts to repair the damage. Unfortunately, this repair process can itself become problematic, leading to the formation of plaques that narrow the artery and can eventually block blood flow. Understanding arterial repair is thus crucial for understanding heart disease, the leading cause of death in many countries. Better repair without excessive plaque formation could prevent millions of heart attacks and strokes. The brain, despite its limited regenerative capacity compared to some other organs, does show remarkable plasticity. When one region of the brain is damaged, other regions can sometimes take over its functions, reorganizing their connections to compensate for the loss. This plasticity is most pronounced in young brains, but persists to some degree throughout life. Rehabilitation after stroke or brain injury relies on this plasticity, guiding the reorganization of brain circuits to restore as much function as possible. Sleep plays a particularly important role in brain repair and maintenance. During sleep, the brain's glymphatic system becomes active, flushing out waste products that have accumulated during waking hours. This cleaning process is essential for brain health, as the accumulation of certain waste products has been linked to neurodegenerative diseases. The slow waves of deep sleep seem to drive the flow of cerebrospinal fluid through the brain, physically washing away debris. This is one of the reasons why sleep is so essential for cognitive function. Memory consolidation during sleep is another form of neural maintenance. During the day, experiences are encoded in a preliminary form in the hippocampus. During sleep, these memories are replayed and transferred to more permanent storage in the cortex. This transfer strengthens some connections and weakens others, organizing memories into more stable and useful forms. Without adequate sleep, this consolidation does not occur properly, and memories remain fragile and prone to forgetting. The immune system's activity during sleep extends beyond infection fighting to include surveillance for cancer cells. The immune system is constantly patrolling the body, looking for cells that have become abnormal. Cancer cells arise frequently in the body, but the immune system usually detects and destroys them before they can form tumors. This surveillance is enhanced during sleep, when immune resources are not needed for other purposes. Chronic sleep deprivation impairs this surveillance, which may contribute to the increased cancer risk associated with poor sleep. Hormonal repair processes are also active during sleep. The release of growth hormone during deep sleep stimulates tissue repair throughout the body. Other hormones involved in repair, including testosterone and estrogen, also show circadian patterns that peak during sleep. The endocrine system coordinates repair processes across the body, ensuring that different tissues receive the signals they need to maintain themselves. Disrupting sleep disrupts this coordination, impairing repair processes system-wide. The immune system's memory function is a form of ongoing repair and improvement. After encountering a pathogen, the immune system produces memory cells that persist for years or decades. If the same pathogen is encountered again, these memory cells can mount a rapid and effective response, preventing illness or reducing its severity. This immunological memory is why vaccines work and why childhood infections usually provide lifelong protection. The immune system is constantly repairing itself, updating its defenses in response to each new challenge. The healing of the gut lining after damage is particularly rapid and important. The intestinal epithelium, the single layer of cells that separates the inside of the body from the contents of the gut, is renewed completely every few days. This rapid turnover ensures that any damage is quickly replaced, maintaining the barrier that keeps gut bacteria and food antigens from entering the bloodstream. When this barrier is compromised, as in conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, the result can be significant illness. The continuous regeneration of the gut lining is one of the body's most active repair processes. The repair of damaged taste buds occurs continuously throughout life. Taste cells, like many epithelial cells, have a limited lifespan and must be constantly replaced. Each taste bud contains cells at various stages of development, from newly formed cells to mature cells to cells approaching the end of their lifespan. This ongoing turnover maintains the sense of taste, ensuring that this sensory capacity persists even though individual cells come and go. The flavors you experience tomorrow will be detected by cells that may not exist yet today. The olfactory epithelium, which detects odors, also undergoes continuous renewal. The neurons in this tissue are among the few neurons in the body that are replaced throughout life. When an olfactory neuron dies, a new one is born from stem cells in the tissue, grows an axon that extends into the brain, and forms connections with the appropriate target cells. This regeneration is remarkable because it involves the formation of new functional connections within the nervous system, something that was once thought impossible. The blood-brain barrier, which protects the brain from potentially harmful substances in the blood, is maintained by specialized cells that must be continuously renewed. This barrier is formed by the endothelial cells that line the blood vessels of the brain, held together by tight junctions that prevent most substances from passing through. When these cells are damaged, they must be replaced to maintain the barrier. Failure to maintain the blood-brain barrier can contribute to neurological disease, making this repair process essential for brain health. The repair of the vocal cords allows the voice to recover from strain and injury. Singers and speakers who overuse their voices can damage the delicate tissues of the vocal cords, leading to hoarseness or loss of voice. But with rest, the vocal cords can heal, the damaged tissue regenerating and function returning. This repair is aided by the moist environment of the larynx and the good blood supply to the tissues. The voice that greets others tomorrow is maintained by repair processes happening tonight. The cornea of the eye can heal remarkably quickly from minor injuries. A corneal abrasion, which is a scratch on the surface of the eye, can heal in just a day or two, the epithelial cells at the surface dividing and migrating to close the wound. This rapid healing is essential because the cornea is constantly exposed to potential injury and must be able to recover quickly. Deeper injuries may heal more slowly and may result in scarring that impairs vision. But even these show the body's commitment to repair. The repair of muscle tissue after exercise-induced damage involves a complex interplay of cells and signals. Satellite cells, the stem cells of muscle, are activated by damage and divide to produce new cells that can fuse with existing muscle fibers. These new cells contribute nuclei to the fibers, increasing their capacity for protein synthesis. The result is muscle that is stronger and larger than before, adapted to handle the stress that caused the original damage. This is why progressive overload, gradually increasing the demands on muscles, leads to continued growth and improvement. The skin's response to sunburn demonstrates repair mechanisms in action. Ultraviolet radiation damages the DNA in skin cells, and the body responds with inflammation, increased blood flow, and eventually peeling as damaged cells are shed. New cells from deeper layers replace the damaged cells, restoring the skin's function and appearance. The skin also responds to sun exposure by producing more melanin, the pigment that absorbs UV light, providing some protection against future damage. This adaptive response is a form of repair, the skin becoming better able to handle the environmental challenge. The liver's ability to process toxins and then repair any damage caused by these toxins is remarkable. The liver is the body's primary detoxification organ, converting harmful substances into forms that can be safely eliminated. This processing can sometimes damage liver cells, but the liver's regenerative capacity usually allows it to replace any cells that are lost. Chronic exposure to toxins, as in heavy alcohol use, can overwhelm this capacity, leading to permanent liver damage. But under normal circumstances, the liver maintains itself effectively despite the constant chemical assault it endures. The kidney's tubular cells can regenerate after injury, restoring the filtering function that is essential for life. Acute kidney injury, which can be caused by reduced blood flow, toxins, or infection, can temporarily impair kidney function. But if the underlying cause is addressed, the tubular cells can regenerate, and function can return to normal. This recovery may take days to weeks, but it demonstrates the kidney's capacity for repair. Chronic injury, by contrast, can lead to permanent damage, as the kidney's regenerative capacity is eventually exhausted. The stomach's ability to protect itself from its own acid is a form of continuous repair. The gastric epithelium produces a thick layer of mucus that shields it from the hydrochloric acid in the stomach lumen. This mucus layer is continuously eroded by the acid and must be continuously replenished. The cells that produce the mucus are themselves exposed to challenging conditions and must be frequently replaced. This ongoing maintenance keeps the stomach functional despite the harsh environment it creates. The healing of burns demonstrates the body's capacity to repair extensive skin damage. Minor burns, affecting only the outer layer of skin, heal without scarring as the epidermis regenerates. More severe burns, affecting deeper layers, may require skin grafts to promote healing, but even here, the body's repair mechanisms are essential. The grafted skin must integrate with the surrounding tissue. blood vessels must grow into the graft, and the healing process must proceed under challenging conditions. The body's response to burns reveals both the power and the limits of its repair capacity. The repair of cartilage in the joints, while limited, does occur to some extent. Cartilage cells, or chondrocytes, can produce new matrix components to repair minor damage. Stem cells in the joint may also contribute to cartilage repair under some circumstances. But the capacity for cartilage repair is limited by the tissue's lack of blood supply and by the challenging mechanical environment of the joint. Understanding and enhancing cartilage repair is a major goal of orthopedic research, with the potential to help millions of people suffering from joint problems. The continuous renewal of the red blood cells that carry oxygen throughout the body is essential for life. Red blood cells have no nucleus and cannot repair themselves, so they wear out after about 4 months of circulation. The bone marrow must produce millions of new red blood cells every second to maintain adequate oxygen-carrying capacity. This production is regulated by erythropoietin, a hormone produced by the kidneys in response to low oxygen levels. The system adjusts blood production to meet the body's needs, increasing output at high altitude or after blood loss. The immune system's ability to recognize and destroy cancer cells is an ongoing form of repair, removing abnormal cells before they can form tumors. Cancer cells arise frequently in the body, produced by mutations in normal cells. But most of these abnormal cells are detected and destroyed by the immune system before they can proliferate. This immune surveillance is enhanced during sleep, when immune resources are not needed for other purposes. Maintaining adequate sleep supports this cancer-fighting aspect of the immune system. The brain's synaptic connections are continuously being strengthened and weakened, a form of neural repair and optimization. Connections that are frequently used become stronger, while connections that are rarely used become weaker and may eventually disappear. This synaptic plasticity allows the brain to adapt to experience, to learn new information, and to recover from injury. The brain that will wake tomorrow is being shaped tonight by these plastic changes, incorporating the experiences of today into its structure. The production of tears, which keep the eyes moist and protected, continues even during sleep, though at a reduced rate. Tears contain enzymes that fight bacteria, proteins that nourish the cornea, and mucus that helps spread the tear film evenly across the eye. The lacrimal glands that produce tears and the drainage system that removes them must be maintained through ongoing cellular renewal. The eyes that will open tomorrow are protected tonight by this continuous maintenance. The production of saliva, which aids in digestion and protects the teeth, also involves continuous cellular renewal. The salivary glands produce new cells to replace those that have worn out, maintaining the capacity to produce the complex mixture of enzymes, antibodies, and lubricants that constitute saliva. During sleep, saliva production decreases, but the maintenance of the salivary glands continues, preparing them for the demands of waking life. The replacement of hair cells that have been shed is an ongoing process that happens continuously throughout life. Every day, you lose dozens of hairs as part of the normal hair growth cycle, and every day, new hairs begin to grow from follicles that have completed their rest phase. This turnover is invisible on any given day, but accumulates over time, so that the hair you have now is entirely different from the hair you had years ago. The hair that will grow tomorrow is already being prepared in the follicles tonight. The maintenance of the nails involves continuous growth from the nail bed, with new nail material constantly being added at the base. Damaged or diseased nails grow out and are eventually replaced by healthy nail, a process that takes several months for fingernails and even longer for toenails. The cells that produce nail material must be maintained through their own repair processes, ensuring that nail growth can continue throughout life. There is comfort in knowing that repair is happening, that even as you rest, your body is working quietly to restore and renew itself. You do not need to direct this process or even understand it. It happens on its own, following patterns that are older than consciousness, older than thought, woven into the very structure of your cells. Your only task is to rest, to provide the conditions in which repair can occur. By sleeping, you are cooperating with your body's wisdom, honoring the ancient processes that sustain your life. The sleep you are approaching now is not a period of absence, but a period of activity of the most essential kind. While your conscious mind rests, your body will be busy with the work of repair. Cells will divide, proteins will be synthesized, tissues will regenerate. The damage of the day will be addressed, and you will wake restored, renewed, ready to face whatever the new day brings. This is the gift of sleep, and it is given to you every night, freely and without condition. As these reflections on the body's repair processes draw toward a close, allow yourself to let go of the details, to release any effort to remember or understand. The information that has passed through your awareness was not meant to be memorized or retained. It was meant only to accompany you toward rest, to provide a gentle backdrop for the approach of sleep. The facts about healing and repair are less important than the feeling they evoke, the sense of being cared for by your own biology, the trust that the body knows what to do. You can let go now of any remaining tension, any lingering engagement with the world of waking. The concerns of the day can wait until morning. The tasks undone will still be there, but they do not need your attention now. All that is asked of you in this moment is that you rest, that you allow the heaviness of sleep to settle over you, that you give your body the gift of time and stillness it needs to do its work. The darkness around you is soft and welcoming. The silence, or the gentle sounds that surround you, is comfortable and unthreatening. The weight of your body is fully supported by whatever holds you. Everything is as it should be. Everything is allowing you to rest. Your breathing has found its own slow rhythm, a rhythm that requires no effort to maintain. Your muscles have softened, your joints have eased, your whole body has settled into rest. The repair processes are beginning, or continuing, or completing their work, depending on how far into sleep you have already drifted. It matters not at what stage you are. All stages serve the work of restoration. Sleep is approaching, or has already arrived. Let it come. Let it take you into the quiet depths where consciousness rests and the body works. Let the dreams come if they come, or let the dreamless dark enfold you if that is what you need. Either way is good. Either way is rest. Either way, your body is doing what it knows how to do. You are safe here in the night. You are held by the surface beneath you and by the processes within you that never stop working on your behalf. You are part of a long lineage of sleepers stretching back through time, all of whom trusted the night to bring restoration, all of whom woke renewed to face another day. You join them now, taking your place in this ancient rhythm of rest and renewal. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to understand, nothing more to remember. Only rest, only the gentle descent into sleep, only the quiet work of the body, doing what it has always done, what it will continue to do, night after night, for as long as you live. Let go. Let go of everything. Let your body do its work while you simply rest. The morning will come, and you will wake, and you will be restored in ways you cannot see but can certainly feel. For now, there is only sleep. For now, there is only peace. Rest now. Rest. Sleep. The body knows what to do. Let it. Rest.